Welcome back to the channel, everyone. 12-hour sports. It's that time again. As you can see by the scenery, you probably can see by the light, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but it is nighttime as I'm recording this. And today I want to talk about 5 Detroit Lions to watch before joint practices against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, you're probably going to be seeing this video on the earlier side of August 15th, currently recording this at August 14th before the night ends. And the first guy I want to talk about now, I think we know kind of to this point some of the Detroit Lions in which I've been talking about. Again, I cover all teams. I am not a Detroit Lions fan. A lot of people, because I talk about this team, and it's just saying that, a lot of Detroit Lions fans, they love the content. I like the team. I talk about a lot of things with the team, and I can kind of give some unbiased thoughts because I'm looking at things from a scope of covering everything within the NFL. And I think when coming back to this team, two of the guys who I've talked about, Jack Campbell, James Houston. And those were some of the guys where Jack Campbell, I covered the draft. He was one of the players, regardless of who he went to, was my favorite linebacker. Actually, I want to say that. And James Houston, I did a film breakdown on him within the season last year after I did Aiden Hudson's film breakdown, and I will get back to the film breakdowns. Do not worry. You're probably wondering, Brian Branch, all of the guys who are playing good football, I haven't got to it just yet because I do not have the access to the film just yet, but as soon as I get that, we're gonna be doing it all. The film breakdowns, we're going to be on it. And those two guys we will talk about today in my 5 players to watch. But the first guy I want to talk about, and kind of a name who I touched on a bit in my last video with the Detroit Lions, but I haven't talked about him a lot. And I'm talking about through training camp, mini camp, everything that's been going on. That's Chase Cota, undrafted rookie free agent, and everything he's been doing so far. Now, I think it's pretty interesting when we talk about the team because having him in that receiver core. Now, you're looking at the receivers, got Maurice Alexander, got Khalif Raymond, some of the guys on the team, but I think Chase Cota's trying to make a case to make that 53-man roster. And when I look at some of the other players like J-Mo, understanding that things will be kind of crooked with the depth chart on the receiving core because he's not playing the first 6 games. So the question now becomes, we don't want to overreact to preseason. I fully understand that. And I said, you have a good game, I'm not swinging one way. You have a bad game, I'm not swinging the other way. But if he continues to stack what he's done in the first preseason game, Dan Campbell has taken notice to it. The golf and the guys have taken notice to Chase Cota in this receiving core. So I think that if he can do this in the joint practice, continue to stack. Like I said, you don't want to wait everything into a preseason game in the film, but you want to see stacking because you can kind of pick up the tendencies on some of these guys. If Jack Campbell, he had a drive where he was dominant, made a lot of plays within the run game, had to play in man coverage, which I touched on. If he can stack it, and okay, that's one drive, you were dominant. Okay, another drive, you're dominant again. I'm continuing to see it, kind of like James Houston. Okay, that's one drive, you're getting pass rush wins out of the tail. Next drive, you're getting pass rush wins out of the tail. They can't stop you. Continue to stack. So I want to see Chase Cota do that. Saw some yards after the catch. A bigger bodied receiver, was very physical. Had the one ball to where I believe initially they called it a flag, then they called the flag off, and I'm not sure if that was Deonte Banks for the Giants. That was one corner who was covering him on the far left, but he had that pass, and he went to try to go get it. But it was interesting to me because it was zero blitz. We know the New York Giants, Wink Martindale, he loves to blitz, play man coverage with zero behind it. So you have to think, where's your read in that situation? Do you want to take the hot route? Do you want to go here? Do you want to read the route concept out even though you have pressure coming? But no, he didn't do that. He went with this 50-50 ball to Chase Cota at the X receiver. So I put a lot of stock into that because you're trusting a guy like that. And yes, it's Nate Sudfeld who was throwing it to him. Of course, you say Nate Sudfeld. His decision making is not keen. And we look at some of the other guys, Teddy Bridgewater, Adrian Martinez looking to take his spot. But I still put a lot of stock into that. Had some catches within the second half. So I want to see him continue to stack. A lot of people probably don't know. I mean, the true Detroit Lions fans, you know Chase Cota up to this point, but he's not a big time name just yet. If he continues to stack, that'll change. So I want to get into another guy that I haven't talked about a lot, but I'm very familiar with this guy. Being a Steelers guy, that's Benny Snell. In the running back room for this team, I look at him and I think that, okay, I was not a big-time fan of the running back depth which I saw in the game. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he played very well for what he was asked to do in his kind of limited snaps in the first half. And we know David Montgomery's probably going to be the quote-unquote guy running between the tackles, doing things of that nature. And you bring in Gibbs, the 1-2 punch. But who's going to be that true third guy from a running aspect? I think you got some other guys who can try to catch the football, do things like that. But I think Benny Snell is a quiet sleeper for this team, and I want to see what he does in joint practices. Now, he's newer to the team. He's newer to the Detroit Lions, so of course he has to get really confident within the scheme, everything that's going on, get familiarized with it. But I think he can offer you some of the things that, okay, Gibbs, he's in the game, he's the big time producer. Montgomery, he's in the game, big time producer. But we need a tough run. We don't want to get these guys in that short yard situation, or maybe we're trying to chew the clock down and get a committee type thing going. Benny Snell could be that type of guy. He was a running back out of Kentucky. He was dominant at Kentucky and came to the Pittsburgh Steelers, did not become that true back like we thought he would be. But really, like I said, he's one of the backs who, in a committee, he probably can show some flashes, especially being a runner who gets behind his pads and runs with power. So I think for this team, that's kind of what the doctor might be ordering. Like I said, Jahmyr Gibbs ran between the tackles in the game, but I do not know if that's his role for this team, quote unquote. So I want to say that's a guy that I'm watching. Last guy that I'm watching, haven't talked about him as much either. It's a new day. It's a new day. I know you're probably saying, this guy, he gets on here, he talks about Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta every day. When is it ever going to change? Today is the day. Today is the day. So that's James Mitchell. And I touched on James Mitchell a bit in the last video, but I didn't really give him his own thing. And like I said, coming out of Virginia Tech as well, was prior teammates with Hendon Hooker, a guy who's rehabbing off of that ACL. James Mitchell, a guy who also dealt with injury, but he's hungry this year. He's healthy this year. And I think with Brock Wright having, St. Joseph, who went down with injury, we look at the tight end room, Sam Laporta is probably going to be the guy. But what I saw out of James Mitchell, and that yards after the catch, it was the big time completion he had for the catch and run. Now, he was wide open on the play, but I think that after the catch, what I saw of him, having some gas behind him. And when I say gas, that's foot speed. That's pure speed. That's not getting up to your speed, acceleration. That's what do I see by the eye test? I saw gas out of James Mitchell. So if he can bring that to this team, especially with the receiving core, Ben Johnson, he's going to spread the ball around. He's going to use all of his weapons. Jared Goff is going to use his weapons to the best of his advantage. So I think that when you get in that 12 personnel, even 13 personnel, you could have Brock Wright, you could have Sam Laporta and James Mitchell getting into that. And then you have one of those backs in the backfield. It's just a lot of things you can do. So I want to see what he does in the joint practice. And then my last two guys. Like I said, this guy gets on here. He talks about Jack Campbell, Captain Jack, the Aiden Hudson of the linebacker core. You're right. You're right, because he deserves it. He's one of those players, I'm telling you, one of them ones. When I saw it in, I think the most interesting play we talk about Jack Campbell was when a lot of people say on Twitter, and what I saw in the commentary and everything, said that he overran the play. Now, of course, it looks like he did overrun the play, but I do want to step back for a minute and say we truly don't know what he's being asked and coached to do. And being a former linebacker, I can say sometimes you are asked to really scrape over the top. And I believe he was the backside linebacker. So the front side linebacker, that was Malcolm Rodriguez, number 44. He went play side. And then Jack Campbell scraped over the top. And that can really be a good technique, because now at the play side linebacker, he's going front side. He's spilling that. And then really looking at it, if the backside linebacker, which was Jack Campbell in that play, if he's scraping over the top, he has a free lane because he doesn't have to go through anybody to get blocked. So now Malcolm Rodriguez takes over that block. Jack Campbell comes over the top. And like I said, it's really fast flow. You don't want to do that too much because it leaves open a cutback alley. And that's getting into too much football without the film to really talk about what I'm saying. But if you can follow me along to this point, I still think he had a very good game. And I talk about that drive. Because from the linebacker position to have your name called 3 or 4 plays in a row and just show what you could do from a talent aspect, I put a lot of stock into that. And like I said, I'm not swinging one way, but I do think I'm interested to see what he does in joint practice, because Derek Barnes is that guy too now. So that's something we got to watch. Alex Anzalone, he's there. He's a veteran in the room. So we want to see how fast, and I think it's not a matter of when. I think it's not a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when with Jack Campbell. How fast can he catch on? How fast can he take that spot? But like I said, he has some guys in front of him who don't want to give that spot up. So it's going to be a dogfight. Something I want to watch, something I'm monitoring. And the last guy, James, the problem, Houston. I get frustrated when talking about James Houston. Simply put, a lot of people a lot of people and a lot of teams, AFC, NFC, NFC South, AFC North, it doesn't matter what division, where it's at, what team, what scheme, a lot of people would put James Houston on the football field because he does what every team wants, and that's rushing the passer. Like I said, had some wins, had some pressures in the preseason game, and I mean, he's done it in NFL action. I just want to know what more is it taking. Now, of course, I'm not there physically to see what's going on in practice. I don't know how much he has improved against the run, but he did have a big-time play in the run with Reeves-Maybin, so I saw that one play, but outside, you wonder how consistent can he be in the run as an edge defender. And I think that's probably the only question, what's probably holding him back with the coaching staff and Aaron Glenn. But I think when you can rush the passer like that, you got to get the reps. So, of course, they're getting different reps. Of course, like I said, with Aaron Glenn, he's looking at guys you may play with second team, first team. It doesn't really matter. And he said that in the press conference. You're talking about these guys playing first, second, third team. It doesn't matter because we're just trying to give guys looks. And that's not to say you're running with first team here, you're going to be a starter. You're running with second team. That doesn't mean you're going to be sat on the bench and you're going to be buried on the depth chart. So I don't want to put too much stock into it, but I do want to see what he does in joint practice because I think he's that guy. Regardless of team, I think if he gets the opportunities, that pass rushing ability is special. I'm consistently seeing it. So that's the last thing I want to leave you with again. Like I said, and now we're getting to the point where it's getting closer to the season. Things are about to ramp up, talking about content, different types of things. We're doing narrative videos, film breakdowns, all you can think of, and a lot of teams. So my thing is, if you want to see a lot of Detroit Lions content from this channel, my challenge is win football games and win football games in an exciting way, because with that, it's going to come coverage, a lot of coverage from me. And like I said, try to do my best I can to get to a lot of different things. But I wanted to give my thoughts for that because it was something that was on my mind, something I wanted to touch on for Detroit. And looking at those 5 players, like I said, to name them again, Chase Cota, Jack Campbell, James Houston, Benny Snell, and James Mitchell, number 5. So those are my 5 guys that I want to watch in joint practices. And like I said, I'm not there physically, but I do want to know and hopefully hear good things from all of these guys and getting into the preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you've made it this far on the video. Again, it's nighttime. I'm probably about to fall asleep after I end this video and finish recording and editing, but I love it. I love what I do and love talking about ball. So thank you for watching as always. That's going to do it for today. And now we out.